So hello my fellow YouTube addicts, today we have a video about the Leica SL2. So the Leica SL2 I bought about a year ago now. I made two very big camera purchases just before the global pandemic swept across the world, and I've not really used it very much. But in the case of the Leica SL2, the global pandemic was not the main problem with it. The main problem was the fact that the video mode had a fatal flaw, basically. So what happens is that with one battery in the camera, the voltage, the current, the power is just not enough for the demanding video modes like 5K at 10-bit. So I discussed this with Leica after, of course, going on the blog about it. And I discussed it with them. I didn't exactly say, "Oi, Leica, this is disgraceful. I've just wasted £5,000. Well, I did actually, kind of, a bit like that. And anyway, we had a discussion. It was very productive. And I got on with the guy at Leica on the telephone. We had a productive discussion which resulted in a free battery grip being sent to EOS HD, along with the promise of a visit to the factory. Now, the way I think that PR works at Leica, in my experience, purely in my opinion, and I may be misreading the situation a little bit, is that when they have an issue that requires an urgent fix or a firmware update of some kind, they put more effort into actually quelling the publicity over it than they do in fixing it. So, in my opinion anyway, I've had experience of this before because Leica have had a broken camera before. That was the first SL, which couldn't shoot log properly. So the log profile was basically hammered. It was so off, unusably so, basically, with the blacks starting halfway up the luminance ladder at about 100 in 8-bit, so banding hell. But anyway, the log profile just wasn't really usable. And so what happened was that very, very kindly, the product manager for the Leica SL came to visit me in a cafe in Berlin with his girlfriend. And I was blown away. I was like, does the humble mortal Andrew deserve this kind of visit from the Leica product manager? And apparently, as I had spoken about the problem on EOS HD, it did warrant a flying visit. He was probably in Berlin anyway. He was probably passing through in his BMW and thought, why not spend 10 minutes, say hello, then say goodbye again. But the striking thing is that he invited me to the factory in this meeting, in a similar fashion to what happens every time I talk to Leica. But I never get the actual invite afterwards. It's bizarre. So I remember distinctly the body language of his girlfriend when he did this too. I remember him saying, got the firmware ready here, we tested it there, we'll invite you to the factory, can have a tour, can meet and give you the feedback about the camera so it can make it better for video shooters. And the moment he said invite to the factory, his girlfriend made a face like, oh, that's a whopper. That's a bit of a fib. So I distinctly remember thinking, is he really going to do this? And it turned out, no, he's not. And I honestly don't care whether I get this invite to the factory. But you could at least, I think the minimum to expect is for Leica to fix the damn camera. It's been at least 16 months since it came out, and it still has this problem. Now, the battery grip, which for mere mortals and other Leica customers is not free. It costs about £900, a shell with a battery in it, and the two batteries work together to lower the resistance on the voltage or the current into the camera. Now, my understanding is not tip top when it comes to electrical engineering. By far not a camera engineer, I'm a filmmaker. But as far as understanding, that makes sense. If you've got double the battery, then there's less resistance on the line that leads the current into the camera that powers the image processor. So this does somewhat mitigate the issue, but it's still cutting off early. So when you get down to a lower battery capacity of 20% left, say, you think, hooray, I've got 20% left to shoot with. Not the case. And I really think that in certain situations where you've got a lens adapter on it, or an official L-mount lens from Sigma, or Panasonic with the 50mm 1.4, it cuts off at 70%, 80% battery remaining, and you're just trying to shoot 4K with it. For me, that is a serious defect, and I'm very disappointed to find myself all these months later in the position of having to sell this camera now to get the more video optimized one, the Leica SL2S. So I think if you're interested, photographers, in a rather brilliant stills camera, please take it off my hands, because for video it's bloody useless.